world can handle too.
Look out your nose if you're not
Yeah.
careful.
But I still wear it.
We are live and streaming.
Welcome to the Thursday, June 21st Planning Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you please call the roll?
Okay. Chair Louders,
Here.
Vice Chair Hawkins Snell,
Present.
Commissioner Andrews, absent, Commissioner Thiem,
Present.
Commissioner Rainey.
Present.
Do we have a quorum? Next item on the agenda is the approval of the action minutes. And prior to the meeting, somebody actually already noticed a change and it has been corrected.
There was actually 3 changes in items 1, 3, and 5. All of them had either incorrect seconders or no seconders. So I've corrected them. I went back to the video record and made sure to get those.
Thank you, Commissioner Rainey, for pointing those out.
At least one of them.
Are there any other changes to the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion to pass the minutes.
I move that we approve the amended minutes.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? They've been approved 4-0. At this time, we would like to hear from the public on anything not on the agenda for today. It's important for the public to know that the applicant has withdrawn their application for this meeting for the cell tower issue. Is that correct?
Cell antenna, yeah. Item number 9 on the agenda.
Item number 9. Because this item was properly agendized and presented to the public, you may speak on that item now if you would like to do so, but we cannot take action on that item today. So I'm just adding that as a possibility for something if you'd like to speak on that. Otherwise, I'd like to open it up to the public, and please come to the microphone. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I see nobody moving, staring meanly at me across the table. Just kidding. So I'll bring it back to the table. The next item on the agenda is old business, 371 Railroad Avenue. And if you have something you'd like to speak about, would you please come forward to the...
Just the final product that came out of the last meeting for the landscaping for the area. Did you have everything? We proposed 5 trees, some Japanese maples of different colors and sizes, and
I can provide a little summary
Okay.
into the microphone,
Okay.
and then if we have questions, the applicant is here to answer them. So at the May 17th meeting, the Planning Commission approved a site plan proposal for development of a new personal storage building at 371 Railroad Avenue. At that time, the Planning Commission had asked that the applicant come back with a minimal landscaping proposal just to help provide some screening along the roadway. And just to be clear, that there will be additional landscaping if there's ever a commercial use proposed in the structure. But for now, they're proposing 5 trees, and they've provided a tree list for you in your staff reports, and then the site plan shows the locations.
Is that about it? Okay. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this issue? And seeing nobody coming forward, I'll bring it back to the table. Commissioner Thiem, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in support of it. I think it's adequate for what they're doing over there.
I'm in full agreement with that.
Yeah, I appreciate the diligence in getting these plans together. I think it's the 3rd time we've met for this broader application. I support the plan as presented, and was impressed, surprised that you didn't just choose coniferous trees. There is the cedar, but I hope you've got a good plan for the hand watering on a continuous basis for the maples, since there's no water on that site, but it looks like the placement and the selection seems to fit what we had asked for, and what I was interested in, so I support it as presented.
Thank you. So of course I have something to throw into the mix because I'm difficult. I looked at the list of trees and thought, the first thing to my mind was, this is going to be difficult to water. And I came up with, instead of the dogwood, 2 other kinds of dogwoods that are native to California that wouldn't require as much water. Cornus natalii, mountain dogwood, Cornus californica, little red twig dogwood, and 4 kinds of maples that are also native to California that won't require so much hand watering. I'm going to give you the list of my alternate, and if somebody wanted to swap out Japanese maples for vine maples or California box elder maple, I wouldn't make a squawk of any kind, because it'd be easier to water or not even water. So I'm just, okay.
And as long as it, our project can move forward, if she's open to those, we'd be happy.
This is not a requirement, it's only something I've done to be difficult.
I'm certain she would probably be open to any
Okay.
that would require less maintenance.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And I'll say staff had some concern about the particular trees selected, and I had indicated that it might be appropriate to have some kind of maintenance plan or commitment of watering and maintenance, or replacement if necessary, if the trees should, not be maintained adequately. But primarily it was because we were concerned about the watering. So,
I'm going to leave this list over here with Amy, and if you would want to come up before you walk out.
I will.
and-
Thank you very much. I
Sure.
appreciate that.
Sure. So with that as only some information and not as a requirement of the application, I would entertain a motion to accept the application as presented.
Yeah, I'm prepared to do that, and I just want to make sure that we certainly don't get crosswise if the applicant chooses to take from your list. So we just want to maybe carefully make the motion here to approve it as presented, and I'm not quite sure the language to say, to allow for similar genus or similar type deciduous replacements for some of those maples if the applicant chooses them for whatever reason, including ease of maintaining and watering. So I don't know if anyone has a recommendation on how best to formulate that non-condition, but that allowance, I guess.
You could just say equivalent native species.
Or equivalent native species.
Okay, right, because you presented a natives list pretty much, right? Okay, I make a motion to approve the application as presented, and with an allowance to substitute any of the deciduous trees on the list with a similar native species.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you. Would it be possible, with the agreement of my fellow commissioners, to move up item number 4, 300 Spring Street, ahead of the next, so that I can exclude myself on the following 2 at the same time, instead of coming up and going and such? Would that? Okay. Then we'll move on to item number 4, 300 Spring Street, Rebecca Kaufman, building representative, install sign for Tysa Design. Come on up. please introduce yourself, and then Amy will introduce your proposal.
Hi, I'm Robert Ing. I work for Rebecca.
Robert.
Sorry, I'm in the wrong agenda item. Okay, property owner Barbara Kaufman is applying for 2 new signs on behalf of her new building tenant, Tysa Designs. Kaufman is proposing a hanging sign to hang from the existing porch in the front entrance on Spring Street, and a new pole sign that would be located adjacent to the sidewalk along Pine Street. There is a similar sign, a similar pole sign. Well, it's not really similar in design, but there is a pole sign right across the street at the Spring Street Market as well. Both the signs are consistent with our code in terms of size. So you're really just looking at the design review. The powder coated, the sign material is going to be a powder coated steel, and I was informed that that's due to ease of maintenance. The hanging sign will be one-sided and a total of 10 square feet. It'll have a decorative T as the graphic, and it will be gray and black powder coating with a white background. The pole sign will be two-sided. Both sides amount to 10.89 square feet. I put that there's no graphic, but there's actually I have graphic or twice. I apologize. There's a decorative T on that graphic as well that matches the hanging sign. Also gray and black powder coating with white background.
And just for clarification, 2 names pop up here, Rebecca Kaufman and Barbara Kaufman. Which person
I'm
is?
sorry, this is Rebecca Kaufman.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we've got the right person
Sorry about
doing the
that.
right thing. Is there anything else you'd like to add as an introduction?
At this moment, no. Unless
Okay.
you have any questions.
Okay, very good. We will open up this project to the public. If somebody would like to speak about this project, please come to the microphone. And I see nothing. Bring it back to the table. Jason, do you have any thoughts?
I'm comfortable with the material selection. We often get a lot of wood signs here, but the metal signage and the way that the application sort of described also the sort of the historical nature and usage of the font was all appreciated in terms of adhering to sort of the historical codes that we tier toward. I think my only query really is the new pole, and I like the design and what seems like a real non-intrusive as well as a slightly decorative sign. And the placement of it is sort of the newest addition to that parcel there at Spring and Pine, and it's you've got the graphic that shows that it'll be well above the height of any passers-by, but it will sort of hang a touch over the sidewalk. Is that right? From the schematic, it looks like it's going to be placed very near the sidewalk on the kind of the asphalt kind of dry parking area. Is that correct?
Yes, we use the adjacent property as precedent of how far the sign would stick out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't have any other questions at this time, and generally support the application.
Thank you. Commissioner Hawkins Snell?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the design and the sign layout and the graphic and the font. I'm a little worried about just that corner getting muddied up by the signage that the city has there and the pole sign. That's my only concern. And I don't think that it's the applicant sign that would make that corner look crowded and worse aesthetically. So I think that it would put the onus on the city to deal with their signage there, but this photo's old. I'd approve this. I have no problem with that.
Commissioner Thiem?
I also like the design, so I'm in support of the layout of both signs. My concern is that I don't believe that pole over at the Spring Street Market was ever approved.
That monstrous pole.
I remember a bit of a kerfuffle about that
Yep.
several years ago. And my concern is that an unapproved sign placement creating a precedent which would then allow for an approved sign placement. How many more pole signs are we going to get? Having said that, Spring Street is always a challenge to draw people in from a commercial standpoint because it's just off Broad, and that's always been problematic for the businesses. So I don't mind the idea of a little sign sticking out that you can see from, South Pine and Broad that says, oh, hey, look, there's something here. I personally would like to see a more cohesive plan from the city to draw people in there, or from the other business owners, I guess. So I guess I'm still a little reluctant on the pole. But I like the signs themselves.
That changes my perspective.
I too remember the kerfuffle about the mining equipment pole sign thing that never
Just showed up one day.
it kind of showed up, yeah. I think we had indicated we were interested in mining equipment, but that wasn't exactly what ended up happening there, so. Personally, I don't think I mind a pole sign, especially that pole sign. I kind of like that. I like the design.
I mean,
Is there anything in the sign code that says?
doesn't it encourage it to be affixed to the building?
Yes, it does, and I think I've got this in my staff report. It encourages it to be affixed to the building, but it does give some leeway to the planning commission to approve something other than that. It's kind of similar to, well, that was a little different.
We've approved like signage and billboarding for the foundry. Similar.
Yeah, let me.
The,
let me
the,
find
the
exactly.
language you included in the report, Amy, is on the second bullet point there under the regulatory considerations, yeah.
It reads, "Each sign shall be affixed to a building except that where the building is set back from the street to such extent that a sign affixed to the building would not be within reasonable view from the street, then a sign need not be affixed, but may be located in some other manner as the planning commission shall approve."
Having said all that about the other sign, that the Spring Street Market sign works. I don't particularly care for the design of that post, but like from a functional standpoint, the sign looks nice and it actually shows people that there's something there. So I'm all in favor of getting people to, see and patronize businesses. So if the code kind of allows for it, I could support it.
Okay. Do you have anything else that we've danced around that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to speak about?
No?
Thank you for your clarity. I'm probably ready to vote. I'm not sure that I can talk my way into or out of this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I make a motion to approve the application as presented, including the pole sign.
And I just, if I can make a comment, since the applicant, maybe it was in the application and I didn't quite notice it, but in terms of that finding that we need to make to have it non-affixed, that is a building that is, of course, set back, and I think this is kind of what you're speaking to, Commissioner Thiem, that when you come down Pine Street, if you were to have a sign on on that building advertising that business, you wouldn't see it till you flew by. So that's why I'm prepared to vote in favor of this as well, because I think it does warrant a sign off of the building if you're going to be signing Pine Street traffic or passersby. So with that sort of finding, I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes 4-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think there is a 15-day appeal period on this one. So don't put the sign up for 15 days.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to step away from the microphone because the next two items are within proximity of my home.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. We'll be moving to agenda item 3, applicant Bennett Jones. Howdy, would you please come up to the table?
Hello.
Hi.
Just introduce yourself, that's all. Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, just speak into the mic so that we can record it.
I operate 405 Commercial Street, Crumb Bunny Coffee Roasters.
So Jones is applying for 2 new signs as the tenant occupying 405 Commercial Street for his business Crumb Bunny Coffee Roasters. Jones is proposing to install a hanging sign above the business entrance on Commercial Street using an existing hanging bracket and a wall sign above the rear entrance between the 2 upper story windows facing Broad Street, though it's set back quite a ways from Broad Street. The both signs will be painted modified density overlay wood. The hanging sign will be 2-sided and will be 12 square feet in total. And it will have a border but no graphic. It'll have a blue background and a rather like a cream lettering and border. And then the wall sign will have a graphic with a little bunny, like a stuffed bunny, it looks like it to me. And then also a blue background with cream lettering and graphic and border.
Thank you, Amy. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No.
All right. I'm going to open up the discussion to any interested parties of the public that would like to speak on this. If you have an interest in this application, please speak up or walk up to the microphone. If that no one is making a motion to the microphone, I'm going to bring the discussion back to the table. Dan.
So generally, I like the design of the signs. I'm not sure about the location on the second-story windows. It gave me pause.
Mm-hmm.
Let me digest that for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But otherwise, I like the designs.
Yeah, I also support the design and the colors, and it, of course, complies and comports with the size requirements taken in aggregate there. And, I certainly paused and walked by the building and thought, too, about signage on the building in the back. I think signage has been there in the past, or at least it seems like the lights affixed there to accommodate a sign right there. So, not only because there's a precedent for that, but if you're going to be attracting business from that side of the street or from, I guess, the parking lot or Broad Street, right, the business will benefit from an ability to advertise in that direction. And I could imagine worse placement on the side of that building, or some kind of overhang over the drive out. So anyway, in my reflection, I ultimately felt like this was the best placement for signage to sort of front both commercial and Broad Streets. So I support the application.
Right on. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the height on that second story is mainly just to be so you can see it from Broad Street when you're walking by. And I think like if you're right up against the building, it seems a little awkward, but from 50 feet away, it's a really good sign. And I like it. So I'd be willing to, if everything's digested, since we are at quorum, we'll have to come to an arrangement or postpone. But
You just
It
have to,
can be a majority of
Yeah.
the
oh, still,
quorum.
sweet.
Yeah.
So I'd be willing to accept any motion and see how it lays down.
All right. You're all business vice chair.
As always.
Well, I'm going to be the one to make a motion to approve the application as presented.
All right, a motion has been made. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All right, it's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll support it. Aye.
Okay. It has been ayed and supported. 3-0. It passes. Thank you. There's a 15-day waiting period. You can do what you want with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we will move to item number 5, which is, the application is Natalie Germain. Hello, welcome.
I'm Natalie Germain with Remax Gold on 202 North Pine Street.
Welcome.
okay, so the city planner, that was me, was notified in early May of a new hanging sign installed at the subject business without a permit. And so I reached out to Natalie, and she promptly submitted an application. German is applying for approval of a hanging sign at 202 North Pine Street for the existing business Remax Gold. The sign is hanging adjacent to a business entrance on North Pine using an existing bracket. The business has window signs fronting Commercial Street that are allowed and are not regulated under the historic sign ordinance. The sign material is a painted carved wood. It is two-sided. Both sides equate to 6.05 square feet. It has a Remax balloon logo, and the sign is red and gold lettering, blue and red graphic with black border and a white background.
Thanks, Amy. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, that's it.
All right. I'm going to open the discussion to the public. If anyone is interested in this application, please stand up and speak. Thank you. I'm going to take that as an absence of opinion and bring it back to the table. Commissioners.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the promptness of getting the application in once you were notified. My reaction to the sign proposed here, and with our sort of requirement to determine its compatibility with motherlode type architecture, the fact that it's sort of made of wood and hand carved as it is appreciated. My sort of issues with it are, and they're not. These are just sort of issues at this point, and kind of questions, is the sort of the use of primary colors, as well as the, sort of the integration of the strong integration of that logo as sort of being the sign itself. So that kind of gave me, pause in terms of its compatibility with motherlode type architecture. But again, it has things going for it as well in terms of the kind of the artistic approach to sort of carving it. So that's my first cut on it, and I'd be interested in hearing what my fellow commissioners think of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can't remember if you were here before, but we've had Remax come up before at the commission, and the original application for that business was to be up on the parapet of that building facing Broad off of Commercial. It was, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Amy, it was approved and then overturned at the city council, which kind of left the business without any kind of signage direction. So, but during that process, one of the things we had talked about is not really being comfortable with the RE/MAX logo and the way that there's the little slash, as not really being compatible with, the mother lode architecture in the historic district. So, in seeing the sign, I tend to have that same view still now, several years later, that other businesses, the B of A was a classic example. The commission did not approve the B of A logo on the sign. They looked for a much more simple, historic font with more historic colors. So as it stands, I mean, it's a beautiful sign, but I don't think it's compliant with mother lode architecture personally. So I'm not really in support of it.
Yeah. That's where it lays with me as well. I like the sign, I think, more than I would initially think that I would, because I'm not much of a logo on signage person. But the typesetting not being mother lode and it being a corporate logo that we've never just fully accepted, like Dan was saying, I think I would be more comfortable with a retooling of it, or a sign that says realtors, and then since it's outside of our jurisdiction, the logo being on the inside of the windows. But yeah, as it stands, it's very reminiscent of the 60s in Nevada City, which I really enjoy, but it is not the direction of our charter, which is to maintain that these signs are of the mother lode style. And I think it just falls a little short of that. Maybe working with some of the colors, toning them down so that they're not, and working with a different typeset. I don't know if that's even, like, if you could do that. But yeah, as it stands, I don't think this sign fits.
If we're to revisit the sign, would it be possible to do the mother lode font across the top of the building like that was presented originally? And we weren't here during that meeting because we weren't told that we needed to be here. So can we revisit that for signage right in the front of the building and take this one down?
We can totally postpone the application for further discussion like that next month. Yeah. I mean, if we can if on this side of the table we can make a motion and agree with that motion to say such, that is an option.
What, Amy, from a procedural standpoint, if it's already been heard by city council, can they resubmit a different application?
If it's exactly the same, is that what you're proposing,
No,
exactly the
I'm saying
same? Or you just want to put something on the front?
For example, like J.J. Jackson, the font that they're using, have RE/MAX up there, but in that font, that style.
And I'm not because I wasn't here either when, I recall my predecessor telling me there was some issue with signage on that building, but there's nothing to say that you can't have signage there. And I don't know exactly what all the issues were.
The discussion at the time, it surrounded really whether or not we wanted to put signage up on that second story, so not too dissimilar to what came up with Leanne Brooks' sign at the last meeting. This was a little different, though, because there were plenty of historic photos that actually had signage on that side. One, it used to be a garage, I think, and it had a big old sign that said garage. And so, at least from my perspective, it was, conceivable to support something else up there, provided it met the other criteria. And at that time, you guys were willing to change the RE/MAX logo on the font a little bit so that it just said RE/MAX Gold, I think. I can't recall. It's probably about 4 years ago now. But it was a very workable solution that the commission did approve. Having said that, it was appealed and overturned by the council. So I mean, that'd be something for you to ask Hal, maybe, whether they can submit something that's slightly different and it's a different application. Obviously, there's a different council, there's a different commission, so you might get a different result. I'm not sure.
I think, we'll want to talk. I think we should just dig out all the old staff reports and meeting minutes and figure out what exactly the issues were, and if we can address some of those. I don't see why we can't come back with a signage application for.
Of our location, it's really difficult to get our clients to come to find us.
Sure.
And, even when there was just a generic sign up there before, our clients couldn't find us. So we've been there for 4 years and, been doing our business, but it's very difficult to have our clients find us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I think with the caveats we've given around sort of our authority to answer directly whether or not you can, resubmit, it sounds like that's a legal question, but my sense is that if it's not the exact same proposal,
Yeah.
of course, it can kind of move through the hopper and see where it goes. And so based on what's in front of us, and now knowing a little bit more about that history from my colleague, I'd be appreciative and support sort of a retry on this, and we as a commission can review placement and as well as the aesthetics and font and colors and everything else with the design, right?
So it sounds like it would just be a resubmittal, which you could probably just talk to Amy about. I would like to add that I love hot air balloons. So if we could still have a hot air balloon, that'd be rad, and I assume you agree.
I don't think that's going to fly, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I move that we continue the item then, to allow the applicant and staff to review maybe some other alternatives that get you the visibility you want, which is clearly the goal. And it was the goal at that time too, which is why I think the commission was generally in support of it, because it's a very hard place, particularly when you're comparing other real estate locations and town office locations that have much more visibility. But any business that goes up there is going to struggle. So anyway, I move that we continue the item.
Yeah, I'll second that motion to continue.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so the next item is a tree removal application, and I'll be welcoming back the acting chair, Stuart Lauders. Thank you for holding your applause. Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Marisha Finkler, and I'm here on behalf of my elderly neighbor, Georgianne Russell, and my husband, Tad Finkler, submitted the application for her.
The owner of the residence at 115 Parkside Place, Georgianne Russell, is requesting removal of 6 cedar trees, all ranging between 14 and 48 inches in diameter. Most of the trees are located in the front yard of the property. One is located on the rear yard. The lot is heavily treed, and the owner has provided a list of trees to be retained, and that's an attachment to your staff reports there. And the primary goal of the tree removal is to thin the overcrowded tree stand and promote solar exposure for the northerly, I'm assuming for the northerly neighbor. And that's probably you?
That's us.
Okay. I think that is it.
Do I
Thank you.
have
Is there
a
anything
moment to make one comment on it?
Sure.
Okay. My main comment is just there's a note he put in there that after removal, there would still be 34 trees on her parcel that are over 12 inches in diameter. I don't know if you guys have been in the Parkside neighborhood, but it is really heavily treed, and we are concerned about fire danger and overcrowding. They're almost all, the majority of the trees are western cedar. It's kind of taking over, and we're wanting to promote the deciduous trees that are in the understory, and we're rolled over the north side of the hill, and many of those trees are blocking our solar exposure as well. So she's concerned about fire danger as well. Just wanted to put that out there. Those are the primary concerns.
Thank you for clarification. Let's open this up to the public. If somebody would like to speak on this application, please come to the microphone. I don't see anybody moving. Let's bring it back to the table here. Commissioner Rainey, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I have an appreciation for these maps that detail sort of the placement and, let it be known that it doesn't have to be a fancy program that spits out a professional landscape plan. It's just really helpful even with this hand-drawn and the photographs as well, because anytime a 4-foot diameter tree appears on a on a list, I say, well, what's going on? But I haven't been back in that neighborhood, but I went ahead and did all sorts of flyovers that I could do from my desktop, and it's definitely densely constrained, and the cedars do have that propensity to shade out and thwart anything else in its understory. With that long intro, just to say I support the removal of these 6 as proposed for the reasons argued in the application.
Commissioner Hawkins Snell,
I hold the same position.
do you? Okay. Commissioner Thiem.
We are not short of cedar trees.
Very good. I didn't note any letters of support or against from neighbors. Did we receive anything, one way or the other?
No, but I didn't, tree removal I don't typically send out, although I will note that we've had recent tree removal applications that didn't need to come to the commission on 2 of the neighbors, including the Finklers and then another neighbor who is escaping me, but.
I think it's on the agenda at 108
Okay.
Parkside, it said.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
So it's a neighborhood effort.
Yeah. It's pretty dense there.
We are right across from the park there, and, just north of the south of the ball fields, there's that really dense stand near Silva Avenue, and it's kind of our wildland interface, and so, the neighborhood is concerned about fire danger, and wanting to responsibly manage the trees, still maintain forest, but in a responsible manner.
It's a difficult balancing act to maintain that scenic corridor, beauty of a stand of conifers, and also want to have a little bit of light and protection from fire danger, or at least reduction of. I too am supportive of this application as presented. You lost me with an entire list, gigantic list of other things that are remaining, and I thought, who would even know? I mean, really, this is great. It's great that you're keeping so much stuff, so thank you.
I move that we approve the application as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes
Very
4-0.
much. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Architectural Review 569 Searles Avenue. Sightline Architecture. Come on up.
Are we doing Searles or the Mother?
Yeah, wait a minute, I think we've got one more there.
Have we got another one?
That's what I have on my agenda.
Oh,
Motherlode Court?
you may have printed out your agendas on Friday, and they were revised on Monday. And one was removed, the one from Motherlode Court.
Okay.
Do you want to explain any more about that?
We can go ahead and
All right.
maybe explain the liaison reports, why don't we?
Very good.
In that case, since we're on the Searles Avenue, and we have a quorum without me, I think I'm going to choose to recuse myself for the reasons I've recused in the past. I do feel that even though I could be unbiased on this one, the fact that I have recused myself on cannabis-related business applications, and even though this is an architectural review for one of the cannabis businesses, I think I'll just prefer to step off and let you 3 handle this one.
Could you please introduce yourself, and Amy will introduce your project.
My name is Andrew Pulowski. I'm here from Sightline Architecture, representing the owners of the building. We've read the staff report, and I'm just here to answer any questions anybody might have about the proposal. If it's okay to do so, I've actually brought actual color chips rather than the photographic representations. I think it would help the discussion.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so the subject building is not depicted on the 1898 Sanborn maps. It appears to have originally been constructed in 1984. It had initially been 2 structures that were attached in 2002 with an addition of the center suites and an improved use permit application. The proposal, so they're proposing two things. The first thing they're doing is window additions, which will be on the rear of the structure, not visible from any public roadways. They'll be adding 4 windows, and there's an elevation sheet, which I've made a little picture in your, right inset into the staff report, and then there's also an attachment of a larger elevation sheet. The windows are not visible from either Searles Avenue or Highway 49, and the windows will have a consistent trim style to the existing windows on the building. Let's see. They are also proposing to repaint the existing building, and the rendering shows the adjacent building, but that's not being proposed at this time, though it may in the future. The 2002 use permit didn't include conditions of approval regarding paint color. However, it did include a color rendering. So this is why normally we don't look at colors outside the historical district, but because there was a rendering, and presumably that was the basis of some of the approval of that, and it's the color rendering of that 2002 approval are the colors that are on there right now. So I thought it would be prudent to bring it back to the commission for review. Let's see. The applicant has submitted a rendering that includes 569, 555, and 545 Searles, though at this time they're only improving 569 Searles. The applicant's proposal includes a request to repaint the body of the building in gray, the windows and door trim in black, and accents and bay doors in yellow. Sort of a bluish gray, the body. Let's see. Is it kind of a little bluish gray? That might just be my screen.
No, I read it as a bluish color too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that is it.
So let me get clarification there. Even though it's outside the historic district, meaning we don't have any say-so about the color, we think that potentially the decision was made originally, the color influenced the decision-making originally on the approval of that project?
With a use permit, there's large discretion. There's discretion by the planning commission to approve all sorts of things, including paint color. So in residential kind of situations, you have no purview pretty much ever unless the residents required some kind of use permit for some reason. But under discretionary permits, your purview can include color. So commercial buildings can include that. Usually I would look for those in conditions of approval, but there weren't any that specifically related to repainting. But then there is this rendering that was found, that I found in the use permit. So
Okay.
I'm just being safe than sorry.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks for the, do you have anything you'd like to add to that introduction?
No, that seems to have covered it quite well.
Okay.
Just here to answer any questions anybody might have. I think the actual samples go a long ways because both the rendering and the photographic image give a little kind of an orangey sort of active, but this is obviously a little more toned down in real life.
Okay. Let me open this up to the public. Would somebody like to speak about this particular project? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the table. Commissioner Thiem.
I like it. I mean, although I am curious about those 4 windows, are those still storage sheds there, or have they changed?
Well, no, that is going to very soon be converted into actual occupied
Oh, okay.
space, and most of the work's been done. And now there's a tenant coming, so the desire was expressed that, gee, wouldn't it be nice if there were windows in this end of the building?
Sure. I mean, you can't see these windows from anywhere unless you're right next to them, so I support it.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind, and it seems to be a stretch of my jurisdiction anyway, so I'm disinterested in making a call. And, yeah, I'm in support of this.
Yeah, we can't see the windows. It seems silly to comment beyond that. Thanks for bringing actual instead of, because it looks a little different on my screen. And makes me a little nervous picking colors anyway. So I'm not going to stand in the way of this. So I would
So
entertain a motion.
I move we approve the application as presented.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Amy, I know you don't like to hang on to anything physical, right?
I would prefer not to, yeah. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, 433 Broad Street, the Methodist Church, Gail Green, representative. Hello, Gail.
This is Penn Martin. Penn Martin is representing Sustainable Energy Group, which is a group we selected to install 38 panels. I'm Gail Green, and I'm the chairman of the Board of Trustees, which is why I'm here, and he knows everything about it.
Well, the first thing I'd like to do is...
Hang on just a second. We're going to have Amy introduce the project, and if you could let her do that and then add anything you want to after that time, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. At the November 16th, 2017 meeting, church representatives Christy Newsom and Gail Green appeared before the Planning Commission in order just to ascertain the Commission's direction and feedback without any kind of action regarding some bids they were entertaining to install roof-mounted solar. The overall sentiment of the Commission was supportive for the energy efficiency goal of the project and appreciation for the attempt to minimize the impact of street views to the extent possible. The applicant is requesting to add black solar panels with a black framing, and I know that that wasn't in the attachment that they provided initially showed the metal framing, but I have confirmed with two of them now that that it will be the black framing, consistent with the one shown in that was the inset in your staff reports. The array is not anticipated to be visible from Spring Street. As discussed at the November meeting, some portions of the solar panel are anticipated to be minimally visible along a limited portion of Broad Street behind deciduous trees during the fall and winter seasons. The number of panels proposed are intended to provide a close to zero net energy use, and that was based on the discussion that took place at the November meeting. And I think that is all I have.
You're on.
Hi, thanks. I'd like to present two exhibits that are photographs that Gail took. These are from Broad Street looking toward Mill Street, showing the deciduous tree that was before mentioned by Amy. And that's the primary roof pitch that we would like to be putting solar on, which is noted as the 1212 southeast facing roof pitch on the accompanying layout drawing. They have this information already, this packet?
They do, yeah.
As the designer for the project, the first concern that I had in relation to this project was the architectural integrity of the building and the appearance, recognizing that it was in the historic district. So the first question that I had for the solar committee of the church was, have you talked to the planning commission? And just wanting to make sure that we weren't doing a lot of work for nothing in that regard. And I was assured that there had been a preliminary meeting. When it came down to the actual proposal, the solar will offset approximately 75% of the loads of the church. And that's in accordance with moving Nevada City toward our stated goal of 100% renewable.
Can I ask you to speak a little bit closer to the microphone?
Sure,
Thanks.
yes. And so there was a tremendous amount of attention paid to the design considerations. As mentioned, we're going with black on black panels that are made right here in the United States. All the racking is going to be black. The location of the panels themselves was selected to minimize shading. Well, first off, to adhere to the 4-foot commercial setbacks for commercial solar. Even though it's a comp shingle pitched roof, you still have to adhere to those. And then secondly, in relation to the large steeple in the front of the building, which would be shading the panels if we got any closer to that steeple, the added benefit of this in relation to aesthetics is that it takes the panels away from Broad Street and puts them back further down Mill Street. And then similarly on the other southeast pitch that's facing Mill Street, same thing to get away from the shading of that adjacent front of the church there. I also want to note that the property immediately across the street on Mill Street does have rooftop solar with an inverter that's visible from the street. Aside from the solar panels themselves, the inverter placement, which is just around the corner, almost adjacent to their service panel, the inverter will be behind the sign for the church, so it will be not visible from the street at all, which to us represents a security as well as an aesthetic advantage. So thank you for your consideration, and I'm totally open to any questions that you guys may have regarding the project.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to open this up to the public. And I'll bring it back to the table. Commissioner Hawkins Snell, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I remember this, and I'm in full support of it.
I don't know, did you note any changes? It's the same as you remember it from?
I don't know if it's the same, but in, like, with the setback and everything else, I think it's less visible.
It certainly feels this.
It's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel comfortable saying it's exactly.
Okay.
Like, I looked at it, it's like, oh, I remember you.
I remember
You're
you,
fine.
yeah.
And, yeah, I like the aims of the project, and I hope that the presentation is or the results are as presented. So it has my support.
Thank you. Commissioner Thiem?
I'm also in support. I can't believe it's been a year and a half. It feels like yesterday that we've just talked about this.
Yeah.
It's definitely felt like a long process.
Wow, yeah.
They all are.
So, and we had a lot more photos, as I recall, with that original application showing the different angles. So I'm very confident about the positioning of this. So I support it.
Commissioner Rainey?
Likewise, I support the project and appreciate all the attention towards complying with the charge of this commission in terms of maintaining the sort of the integrity of our mother lode architecture. But, you know, I think, but for me personally, that doesn't mean that efforts like this that tangibly support our achievement of our renewable energy goals, as well as like symbolically doing so with a little bit of visibility. I think, you know, I don't think these things need to be totally invisible.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for what it's worth as one individual on the commission, I'm excited that in the wintertime, you'll be able to walk through a certain angle and say, yeah, they've got a bunch of those up there, and we can see one or two of them. So anyway, that's just my personal thing. Otherwise, I think it certainly complies with our ordinance responsibilities, and I support the project as presented.
Thank you. I, too, support the project, and I have no additional comments to make. For some reason, I just thought this was a done deal last time we saw your pretty face before us. I just thought it was a done deal. I didn't realize you had to come back again. So welcome, welcome back, and I'm glad you're pursuing this. Really, I'm glad.
That was just the beginning of our process.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was architectural review.
Was that it? Okay.
Well, it was actually,
recall.
it was a discussion item that
Informational,
they
yeah.
asked me to
Yeah,
put
that's
up
right.
on the last minute.
All right.
And they were entertaining bids at the time, so I think that was, yeah.
Okay. Well,
And I
Go ahead.
would like to note that the groundswell of popular support for this project from the congregation and the community has been tremendous. The funding source for the project, as far as the loan goes, is coming through the county from Empower for a PACE program. But that said, the congregation and community was able to come up with half of the project price through volunteer contributions. I was astounded at the level of popular support.
excellent, excellent.
Well, I make a motion to approve the application as presented.
A second?
Making the following findings pursuant to section 17.88.04 of the City Municipal Code, that the proposed solar array is oriented in a manner that is generally compatible with the mother lode architecture and style of the historic district and is hidden.
I'll second again.
That's the one.
That's what it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nobody's opposed. And it passes 4-0.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Did you want to keep those pictures? Oh, no. I mean, you can keep them.
Thank you. So, because item 9 has been removed, we are going to move on to liaison reports.
So I think we'll just relay what happened with the mother lode, since it appeared on the agenda. We actually didn't assign a liaison for that one, so I reached out to Chair Ladders. The applicant had asked her house had been approved for hardy lap siding, but she was never too excited about that material, and so she wanted to either do a milled redwood with a beveled channel, or a boral. Is that what it's called? Boral it's another, what do you call it,
Cementitious product.
cementitious
Yeah.
product. I gather similar to the hardy, but she thought the profile was a lot, it offered a better, I guess, beveled channel profile. So, in any case, I reached out to Chair Ladders, and he felt it was consistent with the approval, and within his purview to say it was okay.
To be perfectly honest with you, I went to the website, I looked at the product, I compared it to the Hardy product and said, I can't tell any different. Plus, she's really actually, I think you said her husband was trying to vote against milled redwood.
She really likes the milled redwood.
Yeah. So,
Probably not the price tag.
That is the objection of her husband, yes.
Yeah.
yeah. So since the products were so close together, I said, I couldn't see a difference. So,
Okay.
that was, we weren't trying to sidestep you
Such
guys.
a power grab.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't understand. It's not even near your house, so you're not even taking away my authority as the vice chair that way.
My apologies.
They're necessary, but thank you.
Was there anything else on the staff approvals and determinations that you needed to mention, or you wanted to mention?
So unless you guys have any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
In the past, I had some staff approval for painting my deck. My deck is now starting to degrade to the point where paint is not holding it all together anymore, and a few boards might need to be replaced because of rot.
Yeah.
Is that an application, or can I get that through a staff approval
You can,
application?
I mean, technically it needs to go before the building department, so you just submit your plans to us first, because they won't review it unless we stamp it.
Okay.
But yeah, I can tell you that's not going to be a problem.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else? Is there any correspondence that we need to speak of?
I'm sorry, I forget to bring it, but the latest edition of our Cal Cities, I'll get to Chair Ladders here.
You may want to hold on to that till
Okay.
the next chair comes along. So announcements, the next regular meeting is July 19th, 2018. This is Commissioner Thiem's last meeting, as far as we know. I'd like to publicly thank him for his service, for his clear-headedness, for his civility, and for his willing determination to make the right decisions at the right time. So thank you on behalf of the City of Nevada City and myself in particular. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's been a fun 6 years, and I've enjoyed giving back a little bit to our community. So I look forward to the new commission and how they handle all these funny problems.
I should announce too that as of today, I will also not be a member of the next Planning Commission. So unless things change that things we don't yet know and aren't yet certain of, I will show up for the next meeting and hand over the gavel. I think that's how it probably will go.
Okay.
Something like
I'll
that.
have to look and see how we've done it before.
And welcome the new commissioners, whoever those are. So that being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?